Hey everyone, Jax here. In this video, we're going to be learning how to play Stellaris for beginners. So think we're walking you through with commentary and we're playing the game and learning organically by playing the game. Instead of just listing out, oh, this is what minerals are, this is what this building does, we're addressing the things as they come up so it's practical and it applies to the moment so it sticks better. And the best thing about this is that it's for the 4.0 update. You can see here, we got the new 4.0 update. And something to keep in mind is that there are a lot of things that have changed since the 3.0 guide that I did put out. So if you are new to the game, buckle up because we're about to learn how to play Stellaris. If not, you're going to learn some new things anyways because some things have changed. So let's go ahead and click a new game. You'll see all these different things. This is the DLC, so ignore this for now. Don't do random or create new. What you want to do is you're going to want to click this one right here, United Nations of Earth. And why is that? Is because United Nations of Earth is going to be the most middle of the road civilization. It doesn't swing one way, doesn't swing the other way. It's just in the middle. It's very balanced. And it's going to be the civilization that you're most comfortable with, especially if you play RTS games or 4X games. So it's just going to come intuitively to you on how to play this game. And you're going to see all this stuff here. You can read it if you want, but I'll be honest with you, unless you know like what these things are, it's kind of going to just be a waste of time to read this. So we're going to go ahead and ignore all this because it's just not going to make sense to us right now. So go ahead and select next. And what we're going to do here is it's up to you if you want to change the difficulty. I think this difficulty is pretty good for learning the game. There's just no inherent bonuses to either side. But if you feel like, hey, I'm not too comfortable, or I want to make it a bit easier for me, that's totally fine. Let's make it fun for us, right? So we could bump it down to cadet or civilian, but I think we're just going to keep it here for now. And if you want to have achievements, you have to have this enabled. If we hover over it, and a lot of this game, if you just hover over the thing, you'll learn what it does. If you hover over Iron Man mode, it disables the console commands, and the games are automatically saved to a single file, and you basically can't save scum. So if you made a mistake and you want to go back before you made that mistake, you can't do that. That's what this is about. So if you feel like you want to be able to have that ability, turn this off, but just know that you won't be able to get achievements. For you, I would recommend to turn this off just because you might make a mistake that you're just not too happy about, and it might like ruin your whole run. So I would recommend turning this off, but I'm going to keep it on just to have it. And here, we're not going to touch anything else. The game does a pretty decent job about deciding like what is balanced, and pretty much this is like the balanced settings. So we don't want to mess with anything here. Same thing with this. We don't want to mess with anything here. Just leave it as is, because once you start messing with this stuff, especially in advanced settings, the game can get very swingy, and that's what you want to avoid because you want to learn how to play the game. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and press play. And as this loads in, the game is going to be paused, and that's perfect for us because it's going to give us a chance to kind of absorb what's going on around us, and to kind of plan out our next moves and actually to queue up some of the moves. So as we get in here, you'll see this page. This is kind of just lore about your origin. There's different origins, but for the United Nations of Earth, they get the prosperous unification, which comes with these following effects. As you can see, we hover over it. These probably don't really make too much sense. I mean, we probably know what populations are. More population, in my opinion, the better because they produce more resources, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. Ignore all this stuff for now. We don't really need to know this. One thing you do want to know, though, is what your empire capital is currently on. And as you can see here, it's a continental world, which means that the United Nations of Earth prefers continental worlds for colonizing new planets. So do keep that in mind. So we're going to go ahead and press begin. And we're going to get this cool looking view. It's actually our solar system. We got Earth, Mars, we got Uranus, Jupiter. So, it's pretty much just mimicking our solar system. And this is what's known as the system view. You also have the galaxy map here. If we press this, we go out of the Sol system, and we could see nearby systems like Bernard's Star and Pyplo and Alpha Centauri. We can also see that there is a nearby planet over here. So that is probably going to be one of our goals because we want to get to new planets. But this kind of gives you an idea of where we are in the universe, so to say, and where we want to be on the map, or like where we're situated on the map, I should say. So let's go ahead and click this. We can also click this to go back and forth if you want, to go between the system view and the galaxy map. And first things first, we see a bunch of numbers and names, and it's like, okay, what is all this? So to kind of walk you through it, this is energy credits, and the energy credits up here are pretty much just like spending money. It's like the game uses it as like a form of currency. Pretty much all of these resources are different forms of currency, but energy credits are really used as currency, but they're also used as like upkeep for ships. You could see under the consumed, ships use energy credits, stations use energy credits, starbases use energy credits, buildings, districts. So a lot of those items will use energy compared to like minerals. Ships don't use minerals. Jobs consume minerals. Same thing for food. Populations consume food, but ships or buildings don't consume food. So they're, different things consume different things. So you just have to see what's consuming it and what's producing it, so you have an idea about each one. So that kind of covers what's going on here. And just like any other resource, trade allows you to have trade policy, which we'll get into later. But for now, that's a bit jumping ahead. But going back to here, we have the energy credits. That you have two different things going on here. You have energy credits, and we also have engineering research. But if we hover over this one, we can see that number is white compared to the green number here. Does that mean it's because it's research compared to energy credits? No. What's actually happening here is that the green means like it's already being collected, and you can see the sentence after engineering research, collected by research station, whereas this it just says it's present on this planet. Build a mining station in orbit to acquire them. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and claim that. We want to select our civilian ship, the construction ship, because the construction ship is what's going to be able to claim these nice energy credits. We want to right click and build mining station, and you can see that it cost minerals. We had 200, but we had to spend 100 to build the mining station. So that's what's going to happen here, but we're still paused, and we're going to keep it paused for now for a good reason. So now we already have that queued. Is there anything else on this map that we could possibly see that we could claim? Well, we do see this nice asteroid with some minerals on it. So what we could do is, after this is done claiming the Neptune, we could queue it to go claim one Ceres over here. So what we could do is hold down shift, right click, and then left click this. And now you can see it's queued up another action. So we can also check here what the queued orders are. One, it's going to go to the Neptune to build the mining station, and then two, go to one Ceres to build the other mining station. And so once that's done, it's going to take the minerals. It hasn't taken it yet because it's still got to go to this one first, but it will go to that one, assuming it still has enough minerals for it. So we have that queued up. So what else can we do here? Well, there is another thing that we can claim here, which is this one, but we might not have the minerals in time. But let's go ahead and queue it up anyways. But actually, instead of doing it this way, I actually want to teach you another secret. So what we're actually going to do, instead of queuing it on the system view, we're going to go to the galaxy map. And the reason why we're going to the galaxy map is, check that out. Those things that we were just looking at are also here. Because if we hover over this, we can see the green numbers that we saw before, where there was 10 energy, 10 minerals, and 3 engineering research that we've already claimed on the system. We already have that. So in total, if we hover over this number, there's 13 energy credits total in the Sol system, 13 minerals in the Sol system, and then 5 engineering research. But we haven't claimed these ones. So what we could do here is also, again, to make it easier for us, shift right click, build research stations. So instead of having to search for all these things, right, we can immediately just queue it up. And so now check it out. We have 3 orders built up right there. So now we have those 3 orders already queued for our single civilian construction ship. And that's a good thing, because we want to keep our ships occupied. Obviously not doing just random things, but with purpose and with reason. Because if they are just sitting around, we can hover over this construction ship. It does have an upkeep of almost 1 energy credit. If you hover over this, you could see the differential, the monthly gain, or it might be a monthly negative. But right now it's a monthly gain. But this number, the 75.36, is added after every month. So as we unpause the time, 75 energy credits will be added to our amount after a month has expired. So on 2,200 in February 1st, we'll get 275 energy credits. And we can we'll do that in a sec, but first let's go ahead and take a look at our science ship. Our science ship is responsible for going and looking around, seeing what's around us. So we already know that there's a planet over here, and we really want to expand. So let's go ahead and right-click survey the system with our science ship. The science ship is going to be responsible for checking out all these places. They also excavate archaeological sites. They also analyze anomalies, and they can also do other tasks that involve anomalies or specific missions. But right now, our main focus with the science ship is to make sure that we could scout around what's around us, what's available, if there are any more habitable planets. And a little pro tip right now is that even though technically we don't know what's in here, we technically don't know what Alpha Centauri is. One, you can kind of look at it in the system view and kind of see that it kind of does look like a continental planet. But from the galaxy map, if we hover over this, we could see it says continental world. So we know that this is going to be a habitable planet for us. So we want to rush to the planets that we know that are going to be habitable. So we are sending our science ship over there. So we got that queued. One thing we could do here is have our military ships. We have a military fleet. Not too strong, but it's something to defend us. But what we want to do is actually right-click this starbase and enter orbit. And why are we doing that? Well, if we go back over here, we can see that ships take 3.45 energy. And you're probably wondering, okay, well, what does that do? Does that save us anything? Yes. So if we click this starbases, or at least the starting starbase, comes with a building called crew quarters. And we know that the orbit modifier has a dock ship upkeep of negative 25%. So these ships that are docked here will take less energy if they are stationed here. But if they're roaming around and doing other things, they'll have their normal upkeep. But that is something that is pretty nifty, that we can help save some energy right there. We also have a few modules, like we have a shipyard and a solar panel. This is producing energy for us. This allows us to build ships. So these are automatically here. You can technically change them if you want. However, I highly recommend to keep what you currently have because it's probably the best setup right now. Arguably, you could change this one, especially since, saving 25% on, 3.45, it's probably not a lot. Maybe you want to put a hydroponics bay to produce food instead. That's an idea. Everything else, it kind of doesn't really help too much because these are affecting enemy ships or, your ships to fight. Resource silos, you're not going to be hitting the resource cap anytime soon, so I would leave that alone. The only other one you would probably look at is probably hydroponics bay, especially if you start having issues with food. So do look at your building slots to make sure that whatever you have here can be helpful for you, or maybe it's not. So just hover over these and take a look and see if any of these benefit you. So now we've covered the ships. We already have some things going on. I would also like to touch base on the shipyard because we did talk about how we do have a shipyard here. So we could build we could build more ships. We could build another construction ship. We could build a colony ship. We could build another science ship, or we could build some more military fleet. But I highly recommend to not do this right now, just because you don't really need to fight anything this early, because everyone is kind of doing their own thing, especially if you are playing PvE. PvP, someone might rush you, but I also don't recommend playing PvP this early if you're trying to learn how to play the game. Just stick to PvE. But what I want to do is I like to build a second science ship because I want to be able to explore a lot quicker. So what I'm going to do is actually left click this and get this going. So now it's in the build ship queue. or ship. I said that wrong. So now it's in the ship build queue, and it's going to take about 60 seconds in game, and every second in game is a day, so do keep that in mind. When you see this timer, it's not the same as the days up here. This timer is meant for us. So now we've discussed all the ships. Now we kind of want to look at what are these, like what's going on here. We see all these crazy looking glowing profiles, but this one isn't glowing, so this must be really important, right? It actually is. This is going to be where you go down tech trees and do research and figure out, like, oh, how do we advance our civilization? You actually want to figure out where you're going to push your civilization, because some things have, if you hover over this, some things have paths. So this one has a power generation path. This technology will lead to further advancements in several different fields. So if you see a technology with this usually means it unlocks something pretty interesting, or at least it opens up a new path for you. The other ones can be good, but you just have to hover over and see what they say. So in this case, this is going to allow you to build a new building, and it's a specific building on your planet, on your Earth, or in this case, we're playing for Earth. This one, it just gives a flat modifier of 10% more research. Can be good, especially if you start stacking a bunch of research stations. So this, 10% can add up very quickly. While this is good for power generation, I'm not necessarily needing this right now because I'm not doing too much in terms of power generation. I don't need it for my fleets because this mainly affects your military. It doesn't really affect too much else. I mean, you can get some cool buildings that you can put on your planet, but it's mainly just meant for military. So it's between these two. So do you want to build a field dynamics center on your planet, or do you just want to have a flat increase? In my opinion, it's probably easier to just have that flat increase because you can get it immediately, whereas this, you have to build it in order to gain the effects, and then it has a upkeep. But, it has a pretty good production of 16.03 physics research. So it just depends. Do you want a flat, or do you want to have somewhat of an investment? And if a building is good if it has a planet limit. You see that number at the top, planet limit 1. If buildings are limited, that usually means it's a pretty strong building. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to select this one because I plan on building one of these anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now you'll see these two buttons. You'll see change research or enable auto research. You can change research if you click the wrong thing. Oh, I didn't mean to click that. Oh, that's fine. Go ahead and click this one. Or, if you didn't mean to click that one, you can go back to this one. But I don't recommend for you to enable auto research. And the reason why that is because if you do auto research, and the game's just going to select the research for you. But the problem is that the game isn't really dialed in to know what path you want to go down or what's best for you. The game is just going to choose stuff at random, and if you're okay with that, great. But especially if you're trying to learn how to play the game, you need to know what you're selecting. So in my opinion, I would ignore this. As enticing it as is, just ignore it. If you need to, slow down the speed, because you need to be able to take some time, understand what you're selecting, and go from there. So let's go ahead and go to the next research, because you can see we got rid of the blue one, so now we want to get rid of the green one. So once we click the green one, it selects the Green Society research here. And we can see we have 4. Well, over here, didn't we have 3? How come we have 4? The reason why we have 4 is because this right here, this research is always going to be available because it's got this this like glowing profile. And you hover over it, this technology will remain as a valid option until it is researched. So you can keep this here, and it also does have an administrative path unlock. So what's best here? What would you want to choose as a technology? Well, in my opinion, I'm immediately crossing this one off because I don't need a fleet command increase. I only have 3 anyways. So this is immediately off the docket. Now, if you were rushing military, this might be a different scenario, but right now I don't think that's a smart choice. This one's pretty good. Again, another thing that has a planet limit of 1. But, and this is a very big but, look at the upkeep here. That is a resource we have not seen before, known as exotic gas. We've talked about the energy, but not about strategic resources. And strategic resources are very rare resources that you find across the galaxy map. But right now, even if we did research this building, we wouldn't be able to use it because we don't have 50 exotic gas and the upkeep necessary for it. But you still get the modifier, which is still really good. But are there better choices? This one also gives a unique planet building, which is similar to what we were building here. This one also grants a small amount of unity, and unity is something we'll get into right now, actually. So what is unity? Well, unity, if we click the unity icon up here, we could see that it allows for traditions. Right now, we'd have to wait about 13 months in game to get our first tradition. So until that comes up, we're going to ignore this. But know that unity is very important, and unity is consumed by leaders. And if we go to our leaders tab, we could see that each leader that we have is consuming 2 unity. It makes sense. And if we wanted to hire another leader, we'd have to spend a flat cost of 100 plus another 2 upkeep per month. So do keep that in mind. If you hire more leaders, you're going to have to sacrifice some unity. So it's a give and take. Do you want to have more traditions, or do you want to have another leader? It's something you have to weigh the pros and cons of and see what you think is best. But in any case, I'm going to go ahead and select this one because I do think that having more research, the faster we can get more research, the better. The more research we have, this time will go down. So the more research you are producing, the faster you can research things, and the faster you can get more technology, and thus making your empire stronger. In my opinion, researching and tech rushes are still, in my opinion, the best, but I know people think otherwise. So going on to engineering. Engineering is typically considered like some of the best techs that you could research. So I will see a lot of people actually favoring engineering research over the other two. Like they'll focus and build specific buildings that focus on engineering to pump up those research numbers for engineering specifically. And the reason why that is because typically engineering unlocks a lot of military stuff, but it also can unlock some pretty strong boons for your civilian infrastructure. Like here, this unlocks robotic path. Army damage plus 5%. We don't have to really worry about that right now, but the worker pop resource output is also really strong. This would allow us to output more resources. 5% is small right now, but it can add up over a lot of population. The other two are military research, and I'm not a fan of researching military this early. So I'm going to go ahead and select this one because I know this is immediately going to benefit me right now. I'm going to be able to produce more immediately. Plus, I get the robotics path unlocked, so that's pretty sweet too. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And lastly, let's go ahead and talk about our planets before we get started. If you have played this game before, the planet GUI, graphics user interface, has changed slightly. But for the most part, it's pretty much the same. Like everything that we've had before is here. So if we click this, we can see we still have all the same buildings. We have all the things that we know and love. But these are specific. Like you can only build these buildings here. But you can also build these exact same buildings also here too. We still have the administrative offices. We still have the monument, all that. Same thing for here. You can only build these 2 here. I think they're just reserving these slots specifically for this industry. You can see we also have those building slots here, but we can't unlock it until we do this research. For now, we're going to ignore this because one, we don't have the minerals for it to build anything. We can't even build an office or an alloys foundry. But just know this is where you build the buildings, and you slowly want to build up these slots because you want to have 1, more jobs for your people, and then 2, more output. But you'll see all these numbers as well. This is just stability. It tells you like how stable your planet is. You want to have a high stability because if you have a low stability, you risk, people revolting or people not producing as much. This is your population, so more population is better, in my opinion, just because if you have more population, you have more people producing for you. This is your crime. Obviously, you want to keep this as low as possible, just because if you have a higher crime, people will start losing stability and become unhappy, and that's something you want to avoid. Housing, you want to have more housing than you have population, because if you do have lower housing, then people will become homeless, and that will reduce stability and happiness, thus negatively affecting your planet. And amenities. Amenities is basically people's entertainment. Do they have what they need in order to be happy and survive? So you want to have high amenities. So stuff like hollow theaters and commercial zones, those provide amenities. Going down here, we have the blockers. So once we get enough energy credits, we can remove some of these blockers. So blocker is just, something bad on the planet that we can get rid of. So like sprawling slums or the Great Pacific Garbage Patch or industrial wasteland. We want to get rid of that stuff, but it's going to take time and it's going to take energy credits. So how much time? It's going to take 120 seconds in game, not to be confused with the days and months and years. Again, each second that you see on this timer is a day in game. So do keep that in mind, but this will produce 100 pops. And so that's a pretty good blocker to get. So once we get enough energy and we have nothing else to spend it on, I highly recommend that you remove some of these blockers here. So do keep that in the back of your head. This is your current population. This just tells you like what you got going on here. If you start finding other civilizations and you have migration treaties where your populations can go in between each other's civilizations, you might see like a plant civilization or a bird civilization start showing up here because they want to work here or live here. It's good, but again, it also depends on how you want to play the game. If you're a xenophile or a xenophobe, but that's kind of getting a bit more ahead of ourselves here. Economy, this just shows what you currently have assigned to each area. You can click this, and see if you hover over it, click to toggle this job to be favored, increasing its priority when active. So if you want, say, more farmers, or if you want more miners or technicians, you can click that and make it a priority that people go to that job. But you have to keep in mind that there's only a certain amount of jobs that you have based on how many districts that you have, how many generator districts, how many mining districts, how many buildings that you have that are related to that district. So there's only a certain amount of jobs, and right now no one's unemployed, so that's a good thing. We don't want anyone unemployed, but there's also no jobs available either. So that's something that we have to balance. We have to make sure that we have enough available jobs and that there's no unemployment. Going to the armies, this is just what's defending this Earth of ours. We don't have to worry about this right now because no one's going to be attacking this early, hopefully. And if they do, these are what's going to be protecting our Earth. And then lastly, you can ignore this for now, just because this is typically reserved for a corporate civilization that deals with criminal corporations. And if they put a corporate holding on your building, it does increase the trade, but increases crime at the same time. So in my opinion, I prefer not to have it, because increased crime just reduces stability and it makes it a bigger issue than it's worth, because we're producing less resources because we have higher crime. And then we can also hover over this to see that we have a little buff due to our origin of prosperous unification. And we can see that we have a higher happiness, higher amenities, and more resources. And that's it for our rundown of what's going on here. We haven't even started the game, so let's go ahead and press this. You can also press space to get it going, and you can see immediately that those things that we sent off are rushing off to go do those jobs that we had assigned them to earlier, as we discussed. And a cool thing is, if it's a bit slow for you, you can increase the speed to fast, or if it's a bit too fast for you, you can increase it to slow or slowest. Or you can also go to fastest if you want, but that's a bit too fast for us. So we're going to go ahead, and you can see how much we jumped ahead. We went from January and now we're in April. So we went a bit ahead of ourselves, but we did get some nice energy credits. So now that we're paused for a second, let's go back to the management and go ahead and start clearing this blocker that we have going on. So you can see it's a bit faster than a second, but you can see each time it goes down one digit, a day goes by. So that's just the conversion rate that you can see that's going on there. But you did see as we hit the new month, we're going to get 83 more energy credits. So let's go ahead and wait. Boom, 83 more. Now it's 86 because we're making more. So we can go ahead and remove this one because we have more energy credits. But we did see a pop-up. An anomaly popped up in Proxima, or the Alpha Centauri system. What is this? This is just something that we could research later. We can leave it alone. I prefer to leave these alone just because I need to survey this system instead of worrying about anomalies. Because anomalies, for the most part, like 99% of them don't time out. There's some anomalies that will, and it will let you know if it does time out, but you can leave it alone for now. I highly recommend to leave them alone because we want to check out these systems as soon as possible. But this segues perfectly into our next point. Now that we have a new science ship, we could see a big difference between these two. One is that there is no leader here, but this one does have a leader. So if we try to use this science ship to survey, we can't because it requires a scientist. We need a scientist in the ship in order to command it. So how do we do that? Well, we click this button here, and we can see all the available leaders that we can have, and especially since they want to be scientists, we can't. What we want to avoid is actually hiring someone that is an official or a commander and not a scientist. And you can know what they are by hovering over them and seeing the little icon here too. So these are all officials, these are commanders, and these are scientists. So what this little button does here is it opens up to only scientists, which is to our advantage because this eliminates everyone that is not eligible to command this science ship. So who do we want to hire? That's the important thing here. Who looks good to us? Well, if we look at each one, they all pretty much cost the same. So cost is pretty much the same, but their ages kind of differ a bit. But for the most part, they're all within the same range. But in my opinion, the most important thing is their trait. Their trait and their level. Their level is pretty much the same, so we don't have to worry about that. But if these were higher levels, they usually cost more. So since they're all the same, we can still keep looking at them. So what does the trait do here? This provides them with an increased lifespan. That's pretty good. So if we hire them, our upfront cost of 100 is going to get stretched much farther. However, their upkeep is going to be pretty much the same because they're still alive. What does this one do? This one provides help as a counselor. We're not hiring this person as a counselor, though. We're hiring them as a scientist to survey the systems around us. So we want to ignore this one. This one is not a good one. What does this one do? This one is a unifier. They would get unity bonuses if they governed a planet. While this is good, it's not good for what we're looking for. And then lastly, again, we're not looking for a person as a counselor. We're looking for someone to run a ship. So that leaves us with Hong Hei, who their trait is good because it means that they're going to last longer. They're also coincidentally the youngest person in the pool. So let's go ahead and hire this person because it benefits everything that we're looking for in a science leader. And let's go ahead and have them survey a system. However, what we can do here is we already know that there is no other habitable planets around us. So we can manually have them start going and clicking all these and, start right click, and then, do all that. Or we can also make it easier for us since there's nothing else. And I want to emphasize this because there's nothing else for us to really prioritize right now. I'd say that science ship automation is acceptable here. Now, if you had planets around you, I would say prioritize those. But for now, I'm actually going to click this and start. And so now it's automatically going to scout out the areas for us. And that's going to take away one less thing from us to worry about, which is good. So I'm going to leave that be and go ahead and unpause it. And then we can go back here and see how this is coming along. We can see that this is producing. We can see our stability went up. I think that's just due to the game starting. But we can also see that there is some unemployment and some worker unemployment. Might not be enough jobs available for some people. So what can we do? Well, if we had some minerals, we would build out a new district or a building, but unfortunately we don't. So we're going to just unfortunately have to leave that be. So we can see this thing has completed their orders, and you can see that that number just disappeared. That mineral number just disappeared. And it is now going to that research station in order to build it, and we can see it's now building it. And so once it's done, well, what are we going to do? Well, we know that we're eventually going to go here because this is a continental world that we want to colonize. In order to colonize a system, you have to have a construction ship built as starbase. We had a starbase over here that's also a shipyard. So how do we build a starbase? Well, first we have to fully survey the system with our science ships, which is what this thing is doing right now, and then build a starbase with the construction ship. So we're going to have our construction ship move here after it's done, just to kind of get ahead of the curve.
Construction completed.
So now that it's done, it's going to start heading over to that area over here and make sure that it gets done. So now we only have one blocker left. We can see we still have a blocker because if we hover over these icons, we can see that this, this kind of stands out, like what's going on here. There's available building slots, and there's also clearable blockers. So let's go ahead and clear that last blocker. Again, we just can't build another building right now because we just don't have the minerals for it, but eventually we will. So now we have enough unity stored up for that tradition that we were talking about earlier. So let's go ahead and pause it real quick and talk about traditions, because traditions are going to take a bit of time. So we have 7 slots for traditions. I want you to keep that in mind, because that means you can only choose 7 traditions. If we look, we already see right off the bat there's more than 7 traditions, right? We can already see from here there's 12 that we could see from here. If we scroll down, there's 17 total, but we only have space for 7. These 4 at the bottom, these right here, these require specific research and perks. So for now, you can ignore these. Don't worry about this. You can get into the nitty and gritty of these later. People prefer certain paths. I have my own preference, but you should check out these and see which one you like. But you can hover over these and kind of see, like, what does each one offer. This one provides additional starbase capacity. This one provides increased hull points for starbases and defensive platforms. All really good stuff. I would say that some are more beneficial than others at different times in the game. And I think that is heavily underestimated by a lot of people. I'll see a tier list that say, oh, Discovery, it's not good. It's like C tier at most, or maybe B tier. And same thing with, adaptability or expansion. But it's like, in my opinion, Discovery is a really good tradition to have, especially early game, because if you look, it increases your research speed, and that's a really strong thing to have. Having faster research is really good, and I don't need supremacy. I don't need anonymity right now because I'm not fighting. I'm not doing subterfuge. So you need to be choosing the things that benefit you right now. So in my opinion, I think discovery or expansion is probably a solid thing. You can also choose adaptability or prosperity, but I'm just gonna probably stick to this one for now. So I'm gonna choose discovery, and then we have to go down each path because we have to research 5 traditions in order to complete it. Once we get all 5 done, all 5 traditions in this tree, we get to choose a really powerful ascension perk, and we could see which each ascension perk does. And there's also tier lists on each one of these too, but just read through each one and see which one you like, because you should be playing the game based on what you think is good. And then once you get a few games under your belt, then look at the tier list. But for now, understand what you're clicking, and just experiment, trial and error. That's what's fun about this game, is you could do that and learn from your mistakes, and it'll stick that much more. But hint, I'll probably end up choosing this one because, again, I think research speed is really good, so I would probably choose this one. Now that we talked about unity and traditions, now you know why some people limit their amount of leaders versus just going really hard in unity. So it's something that you kind of have to balance in this game. Do you want to have more leaders, or do you want to have more unity for traditions? So we can see this thing still has about 5 things left in order to fully research this area. But what we can do is we can actually get a colony ship going. And cleared. Typically you have to colonize it and survey it and build the starbase in order to have it within our borders. But we can actually speed up this process a bit, because it takes time for a colony ship to be made, 360 seconds, and also time to travel. So I'm going to go ahead and build this now, because I know the colony ship is going to be built no matter what, right? So I want to go ahead and start that and get that timer out of the way, and also get the timer for it to travel. Because the faster you can do things, the more efficient you'll be. So it's the small little speed tricks that you pick up that will separate you from succeeding and beating out an opponent versus losing. So just something to keep in mind. So now that's fully done, it's actually going to be going into another area. So you can see it used the hyperlane to go into this area. So now it is automatically scouting out this spot. So that's pretty cool. It's automatically doing it. It's one less thing we have to worry about. So that is always a solid thing. So now this thing just popped up, this council agenda. What the heck is this? So let's go ahead and pause real quick so we don't miss anything. So we have a council agenda that's automatically started based on our civilization. So let's just go ahead and we can hover over it, and we can see that it's going to last for 159 months, and it gives our people more happiness. That's always a positive thing to have. So let's go ahead and do that. Why wouldn't we? And then we can have a new agenda on our on our docket. So what do we want? We can have open arms, which gives these. We can have give and take, which gives these things, and then we can have evolving society, which gives more unity. In my opinion, I don't think that faction approval is necessary right now. And same thing for this. We don't really have other civilizations in our area just yet. So what I think is best is evolving society, because monthly unity is always welcomed, because we want to have more unity. So I'm going to go ahead and have that on our docket, so that way we have something working right now. So we can see that the construction ship is idle. It's right now it's just kind of chilling, but it can't really do anything until this science ship is done. So it looks like it's got about one more planet to figure out, and from there it will stop, because we actually don't have it automated. So we did get a new thing pop up. So after it was done, after this science ship was done researching or scouting out this area, something popped up. The UNS Walter Raleigh, which is this one, are eager to report that they have uncovered the remains of an ancient spacefaring species on this, who appeared to have inhabited the planet some 7 million years ago, which is crazy. While it's unclear why the species, who called themselves the Grunner, disappeared from the Alpha Centauri system, our scientists have isolated a promising archaeological dig site on the planet. Perhaps a further study will reveal more clues. So that's pretty cool. That means we just got an archaeological site, which we can use a science for it, or a scientist for it. But in order to dig on a site, we have to have it within our system, or within our border. So in order to claim it, we have to also build a starbase. So we can't really do a lot of things until it's within our system. So that's why building and claiming land is so, I shouldn't say land, but I guess system space is so important, because it allows you to get those cool things that you can get, like new planets, new archaeological sites, all that fun stuff. That's why I like to have multiple science ships going at the same time, to just kind of spread out and see what's around us. So we get this pop-up. It tells us that discovery of alien life, blah blah. Looks like we get some research. Pretty cool. You can go ahead and unpause, and now we're on a new year. Look at that. So time goes by very quickly in this game. Even on a normal speed, it goes even faster on fast and fastest. So just keep that in mind. So now we have two different things, and you can see these two different icons. This option is available due to the xenophile ethic. This option is available due to the fanatic egalitarian ethic. So you can hover over each one and see which one you prefer. Do you want flat research, or do you want to have a research option gained with hyperlane breach points? In my opinion, this is only 111 research points. That's not a lot. It takes 2,000 to 3,000 just for the research options that we had alone, whereas this will offer us a unique tech. So I'm going to click this one. So again, you just want to make sure you're reading these things. So always hover over your options, see what's offered, and make your best choice.